Good morning and welcome to the Craft Room. I'm Ellie Barnes and I'm glad you can join me this morning. Hopefully you've grabbed coffee or a cup of tea and you can sit back and I'll show you a card that has got some special things about it. Last week I did lots of fumbles in the video. I had a bit of gluten brain the last few weeks. I'm celiac and got accidentally fed some gluten, and my gosh, that affects me all over. But today I feel like I'm back with it and I can perhaps get this one right without too much trouble. Anyhow, let's see if anyone's joining us today. I'll just make sure I'm going live in the right place. It looks like I am. So I want to get into this and show you what we're going to do. So we'll turn down to the desk in a minute though. I've got a couple of things to tell you. First of all, we have coffee and cards coming up next week here in Ballarat. So if you're interested, give me a hoy and I'll give you the information. It is on my Facebook page. We'll be going to the Robin Hood to make some cards and have a cup of coffee and a bit of a chat and fun on Tuesday morning. Also, classes are coming up. I've got evening classes and day classes. If you want to attend, just let me know. But the other news is Stampin' Up's got a whole lot of new surprises for us. There's new products in the exclusive onlines, which I will highlight on my page this week. Plus, there are new celebration products. Now, for those that aren't too sure, when you buy, I'll just grab the catalogue. When you buy $90 worth, you can grab out of this catalogue a freebie. But they've not just left it as what's in this catalogue, they have added new stuff to the offers. So you can actually get a whole lot more. So I'll highlight them this week on my page as well. But let's get into this. I'm going to highlight a stamp set that's out of the new mini catalogue that's came out in January. So I'll turn you down to the desk and we'll have a look. Now, let's see, we've got things all over the place. Getting better with the technical, I think, but I still always could improve. This is the new mini catalogue, and we're just going to go out into page 11, and this is the set I'm using today. It's called Sending Love, and it's a lot of fun. I'm going to show you how we can make this a bit of an interactive card. We had interactive cards last week. I want to do something that's a bit interactive with this one. So we might get straight into it so that I don't keep you as long as I have in the past. We'll grab our trimmer and I'm going to take some card stock. Now, I think this is already cut in half. Yes, this is already half left over from a previous card. And we're going to, well, I'm not going to score it now. I've discovered this new way. I'll just fold the card in half here. Make sure all the corners are tucked in where they should be. And use my bind folder. And that way we're getting a card that actually doesn't have that odd millimetre or half a millimetre difference when you're scoring with the score blade. So that's a nice perfect card. I need also to cut a piece of plain cardstock that I want to go on top. And I'll need one for inside the card, so I'll cut both of those, which is half a centimetre smaller than the card. So it's 10 by, what is it, 14.3, 10 by 14.3. You'd think I'd know these off by heart. Not only do I type them in the tutorials all the time, but I'm cutting them daily. I've got to the stage it's habit. So we've got that much cut. We'll put that aside for a minute. And I'm going to start with stamping. I'm going to actually bring in my stamp mat. Oh, got it upside down. That way you can read the little logo. Got to have the logo. And we're going to start with basic grey. Now I want this piece of paper to look like an envelope. So I'm going to stamp like as if that was the stamp in the corner, but I'm actually going to stamp on the inside piece at the same time. That saves me coming back to it. We might be quicker this way. And I'm going to stamp this one. I'm going to do it that way. So it looks like it's been through the post office. And that one. Now that's the inside of the card. I'm just going to pop that aside for after. I'll just pop it that way so you know it's there. We'll put these aside. They can be cleaned up later. I do have my chamois. These are the chamois we've got at Stamping Up, my dirty old little chamois. It's gorgeous. It's that easy. That's it. Clean. Look. Now I don't have to do it later. See? Clean. So it's easy with your chamois. Got to have a chamois. Let's get this piece back on here. Now, when letters go through the post office, they tend to have a marking on them, and Stamping Up has provided a stamp that will do that for you. So I'm going to do this in yellow because I notice they're usually a yellowy colour or an orange colour. So I've stamped that up, and I'm just going to stamp that at the bottom of my page. And there we go. So again, we'll clean up as we go, eh? We won't make a mess. I'll pop that. Well, this chamois works just as well too. It's a brilliant little chamois. If you're wanting this chamois, it comes with the glass mat if you join up this month. If you don't join up this month, you can't get it. That's the deal Stamping Up have got. So it's well sought after, this mat. Now, I wanted this envelope to look like it's been through the post. It's had a rough time. So I'm going to do a couple of things. First, I'm going to use my my marker, my smoky slate marker. And I'm just going to put a little bit of colour, bit of ink, just rubbing it on the side in there so that I've got a bit of a build-up of ink in the cap. And then I'm just going to use the nib and I'm going to flick it, because I want that little tiny speckles, you know, it's got a bit dirty on the way. And I'm not sure if you can see that, so I'll hold it up. I'll hold it up on here. Hopefully you can see. We've got a few speckles. You know, it's got a bit dirty along the trip. I'm also going to use my basic... No, I used smoky slate, because I did give this a trial earlier, yesterday, to make sure that this was going to work out. So I've got my smoky slate and I've got a sponge. Now I put a little tab. This is an old tab that we used to have, but you could use any one of the punches and fold it in half. It just gives me that I don't have to even worry. I've done it in the colour. You can see I've got a couple here. This is the real red. It's a little bit worse for wear. And pecan pie and granny apple green. I do write on them, but I also have the colour cardstock so that I can quickly grab the right one if, like today, I'm going to use a few. So that's just a little hint so that your sponges, and it gives you somewhere to hold. Now I'm just going to go around particularly the corners, because that's got a bit messed up in the post, but a bit on the sides, not too fussed, but the corners have really suffered in this pretty rough post office. I'm sure they're not that bad. In fact, I found them very good, but some sometimes the letter gets lost or eventually shows up, or it could be an envelope you've had at home. So again, we have a little bit of discoloration around the edges, and it's just a little bit worse for wear. Now we're really going to make it worse for wear. I'm going to take this embossing folder, and it's called Painted Textures, but it works well in making paper look like it's been screwed up and bent and knocked about. So we'll just bring it in the cut and emboss machine, and we're just going to use plate 1, and we just pop this in here. Of course, you always put your embossing folder with the Stampin' Up logo at the top. We'll just pop it in there, and you always put the folded side in first. Otherwise your Stampin' Up embossing folder will flare open. It will, can you see? It's going to flare open and then it's sort of not quite the same anymore. So let's run this through. Pop this out of the road. Sometimes I feel like I need a bigger desk, yet I've got this huge desk. And there's our envelope. And it's got a bit of dirt on it, a bit grungy around the corners. I mean, you could even, if you wanted to, rough it up a bit with a pair of scissors on the corners. Just if you wanted to, just give it a bit more roughness. But I'm not going to do too much. That'll do. And I'm going to put our grungy envelope onto the front of our card. So this is the background. I've made a grungy envelope. Let's get it straight. Okay. So that's there. Now let's bring in the stamp set we're highlighting. We'll get a few things out of the road. As you can see, I've used these 2 stamps here so far. Now, instead of stamping our letterbox, I'm going to make a letterbox. And Stampin' Up has given us a letterbox shape that will have an opening, so a 3D letterbox. And it's given us a wooden stand for it. And you can see it, pardon me, it's got the wooden markings. And I've got some grass here. So I'm going to pop this aside because I've got to bring back in our cut and emboss machine. But I'll show you what we're going to cut out. I'm having a red letterbox. It's a red letterbox day. That will cut out that. I want to cut out, I don't need a lot of grass, so I'll just cut out a piece. And I do need to cut out the letterbox. Oh, there's another piece in here that I have forgotten. We want the flag. Now, I don't know, you see them all the time in American TV shows and that. They have little flags on your letterbox. But our neighbours, when we were on the farm, had a flag letterbox too, where they used to put out a little flag. And because we were in the country, the postie would know to pick up a letter. And so that's just a little thing to keep in mind, that we do sometimes have those here in Australia. So I'm going to try and cut out most of this at once so we're not here all day. So I'll just put my plates 1, 2 and 3 in. Now, let's see what we can put together. You can go right up the top there. That's a bit bigger piece. I tell you what we could do. Let's make it easier so we can fit them in. I know that's going to fit on that. So there's that one. Get them all in at once. My grass can go over this side because I want it right. It's a long one. So if I bring my thing forward, you'll see. I'm going to put my grass right down the bottom here because I don't need a lot of it. We can cut a piece off this one because I only need a bit. And this one, it needs a fair bit, but we can cut that too, like so. That way we can fit them all on the plate at once. And we'll put our other number 3 here. And we'll get them all cut out. Oh, hang on, I've got to... He's jumped over. Come on back. Oh. Wouldn't you know, one's got to move and then the other one's stuck to the plate. It's always the way when you're trying to do it in a hurry. That started cutting and so is that one. So let's just shift that off. You go there. You go back where you started. It looks like everything's back in place. Sometimes I just got to stand up and do it. And that way we can get this machine out of the road and we'll put everything together. Oh, and it's stuck to my glass mat. That's actually a bonus with these glass mats because your cut and emboss machine does not move. So we have a piece of grass. We have, I'll put all these dies up here so I don't lose them. As a wooden stump or stand for the letterbox. We have our letterbox and we have our flag. Now, how do these go together? Well, quite easy actually. Get these out of the road, all the bits we don't need. We put our plates back here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of colour around the edge of my, and I did bring a piece of paper and I just want it to look a bit more worn. I don't need the top bits. I do want to get in there because that's going to be a bit underneath. And I want it a bit darker up the top there because it's got the shade of the letterbox. Just trying to give it some something that looks a bit more real. And a bit dark around their sides. So that's given that a little bit more definition. We're finished with that one. I also want to give my grass a bit of a grassy look. I don't want things to look too fake. To, you know, it's never going to look like the real thing. Now, I don't need too much of this, so I won't do it all. And then just down the bottom here, just so it's got a bit of colour. It may not be easy to see, but it's just adding a little bit of definition into the colours so that when we put it together, it'll all be a little bit standout-ish, if that's a word. Now, I want to fold this and colour around the edge, but I have to do this do the colouring before I glue it all together, and to put my flag on. So I want to do first the inside of the letterbox. I want really dark because it doesn't get the sunlight. So you can see that's a lot darker than the outside. And then just to put some more movement into the letterbox. Now that's going to be folded up, and I want underneath quite dark because again it's the bottom of my letterbox. We'll just fold that over like so and hold it. So I've got a bit more definition into my letterbox by putting some colour on it. Now I'm going to put my flag on, and then I can glue it together. Now to do this, I'll move this piece of paper out of the road. We've got these brads. I'll use a black one. It is a square and that's a circle that it's going on, but it's not too bad because the square fits inside the circle. So we just push that through the circle, and then we're going to push it through that little hole. Now you don't want it too tight, because otherwise you won't be able to move your flag. So you want to have it so the flag can move, because that's part of the interaction in this card. And then you could glue it in underneath if it was going to be a stand-up 3D one, and you could glue this in there so that it would look like so. Because mine's flat on the card and I want to put something in my letterbox, I'm going to glue it on the back here and no one's going to see. So I'm just going to put a tiny amount of glue along here. Now this is the yucky glue, as it's often referred to. But one of the things that causes it to be so yucky is if you use too much. Little tiny bits squirted out there, but it's not going to be a problem. If you use too much, it squirts. Now I've got that stuck. I'm just going to put a couple more drops of glue on the top of my post. And I'm going to put this on the top. And I'm just going to hold it there. And the bonus of using a glass mat is if any glue does seep out, a little bit seep there, I'll just wipe it. If any glue does seep out, it's onto the glass and it's not going to stick. And a little bit did. And all I need to do is get my chamois and give it a wipe. So now I've got my letterbox done. It goes up and down and I can put something inside. I'm going to pop it on my card. Now I don't want to put it right up the top because I want my flag up, so I'm going to put it down a little bit, and I'm going to use dimensionals. So I've got a few here, just about out of dimensionals on this lot, which means I can get another lot. Actually, I've already got another lot ready to go. Now, I want to put one in the middle. I'm going to use this side bit down here because I want that held up. What have we got there? A bit of rubbish stuck to it. And I'll use this side bit down here because they're just a little bit narrower. And just as quick to get my... Where's he gone? Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Here he is, hiding over here. I'll just grab these all off. Oh, they're not working today. There they go. This one and this one. Lucky last. Come on, off you go. Now, because I want him down a bit, yes, he does stick over the edge. I'm going to cut him back to the edge of the white paper. I'll get rid of those little bits. And I'm going to cut this. I want this actually to be more soft on the edge. So I'm just going to trim that a little bit. And he can trim about here. See, no use doing that end, I'm not using it. But I do need to put this on, and to do that, I need these bits here work brilliant. So I'm just going to get 2 little bits and place them. In fact, they're a little bit big. I might have to snip the end off, so that they're going to be on either side of my post. Now, they don't show. Oh, we're still showing a bit. We'll just snip those ends off. And this is going right down to the bottom of the card so that it matches in with the edge, the green edge. In fact, I wanted it to match in. I didn't put it exactly where I wanted. I wanted to match in right to the end here too. So it's matching, it's sort of the bottom of the card come a bit forward on this corner. So it matches the bottom and the side here. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is make something to put in the card. I'm going to take this die here, which will make an envelope. So a little piece of white paper, got a piece here. That looks like the smallest piece I've got left. And I'm going to run that through the big shop. Now you know how I do this, so I'll better do it the right way. I'll show you. Again, we need our plates 1, 2, and 3 with 3 on top. And we'll just move our card forward so we can get it in. And again, we're just, and make sure your die is actually on the paper. No mess ups today, I said. So let's see how we go. Right. We'll take plates 2. Oh, now get rid of our plates 3. Now let's cut our envelope out. Now again, I want to do something a little bit different. So I want to colour my envelope, not bright red, or I would have used red paper, but then it wouldn't have shown. So I'm going to take my blender brush and I'm just going to put a little bit all over. I don't want it perfect. I just want to add a bit of colour. Now, I can, on this side, add a little bit of edge colour I don't know that those bits will show. Oh, they will when they're open. And because it's a two-sided thing, you'll see why in a minute, I'm going to do the same over here. And I want some colour on this side as well, around the edge. So this is sponging. We've done sponging. We've used blender brushes. The blender brush, the sponging. We've done the flicking. Flicking, that's a sad term. We're doing the spots. Now I'm going to take out of here 2 stamps, the hearts and the big heart. But I have also, I wanted a little set of words to stamp inside. That's our outside because the way it's going to fold, and this is our inside. I wanted to stamp something on the inside, and I found that this Love You from the Be My Valentine fits in. And if you haven't guessed yet, this is going to be a bit of a Valentine for my husband. Doesn't like anything too mushy, but I think he'll like this. So I'm just going to stamp the Love You. And then I'm going to put a little red heart inside. And then I've done it upside down. I'm not going to worry because when he opens it up, it doesn't matter if it's upside down because that's the top, isn't it? So it doesn't matter. He can find it. You could do, if you're doing it home, playing along at home, do it up the right way. On the front here, I'm just going to take a few hearts, that heart stamp that was in there, and I just want them on the side here so that they hang out the letterbox. And we'll close that up. I think we're finished with that. Oh, we haven't finished with that stamp. I wanted to stamp, I should be using my stamp mat. I wanted to stamp in the corner here these little hearts. And they sort of go with the hearts in there. That says sent with love and a heart. So that could be romantic, but it could just be friends or whatever. So that's the inside of the card done. This is the little envelope. So you can glue this shut, but because I want mine interactive, I'm just going to fold it with my bone folder. I should fold my side bits in first. You'll know I've made it because I've got Love You upside down. Little mistakes, they make it all. There's your envelope. Looks beautiful, doesn't it? All folded up. But I'm going to fold this one over now. And so there's your envelope. But I want to sort of put a little bit on the corners, and that just to, where did I throw my red sponge? Here. I don't want too much. So it just gives a little bit around. A little bit at the back, but we don't need too much. Okay. And then, so my envelope stays shut, I can take some twine, just basic white twine. And I've given myself a fair bit because I tried to do this yesterday and I was all fingers and thumbs. So again, when it's like a parcel, cross over at the back. Yes. And then tie at the front. And you have to get at least one underneath. And I find, without the dimensionals on the end, if I push it with the pick, I can get, and this one I've got to push under as well. It gives me, makes things a little bit easier because it's a bit thinner than my fingers when you're dealing with something so fiddly. Oh, around the end, don't slip. My husband said, are you going to be able to do it without making mistakes today? And I said, oh, I should be able to, love. But we'll just see how we go. Now, I'm going to tie a knot so it stays still. Not a double knot, just a single knot. So we'll be able to get it off. And then a little bow. And it is fiddly. I know, all you can see is my fingers, not what I'm doing, but I'll show you. It's just going to be a little bow. And again, this is another bit where I find it can be very hard to get this through because it's tiny. And this is what I did yesterday. I took my pick. Need a crochet hook actually, because my finger won't fit through there. I actually used the scissors yesterday. Didn't shut them, I just used them as a... Now, I'm going to run out of twine. Too much went through. No, I have to start again, Alec. I knew this would be the difficult one. Bows are hard enough, but when you're doing a tiny bow, it's with twine, and twine's always tricky because it can twist and not make a nice bow. And if you've heard me before with twine, don't pull it too tight till you've got everything where you want it, the size you want. And I just hold the knot so that it doesn't pull too tight. And then when you've got it where you want it, pull it tight. And I went a bit big. Hopefully I can make it look all right. I think that's not too bad. But bows do take a lot of work, and that to make them look nice, you do need to put a bit of effort in. So there you go. It's tied with a bow. It's still a bit big for the size. Let's see. That's not too bad. So there's my bow. If you can see that, it's just tied on there. And I'm just going to take my little envelope. Just want that little bit of ribbon to go in there. And there's my card with its... Actually, no, I'll take that out. There's my card with its bow on it. And all that's left to do is put a greeting on. And I'm going to show you something else that's new and a different technique. It is also in our new catalogue, the hybrid embossing folder. So we're looking at the embossing folder and its dies. I'll get rid of that envelope. So our dies come with words, this one. We've got thank you, oh happy days, thinking of you, hello, love you, with sympathy, you make me happy, celebrate just because and get well. I'm going to use the you make me happy because he does. Isn't that soppy? So I'm going to use that, and I'm going to use this. I could have used these little flowers or rainbows or hearts, dies that they've given us, but I'm not. I'm just going to use this. To use the embossing folder, I'm going to use red ink. Now this does get messy, but it's worth it. And I need the brayer. I also need to grab a piece of cardstock, and to do this I need it to be the same size as our embossing folder, which is 15 centimetres by 15 centimetres or 6 centimetres by 6 centimetres, 6 inches by 6 inches. The easiest way to get it to fit perfectly, push cardstock all the way to the end. Put that aside, it'll make insides for cards. Again, push it all the way to the end. And there, you've got your size you need. So that's for that. I'm going to get this all set up because this is where it gets messy. We're going to use the roller. Now, this is the new roller with stamping up. If I stand it that way on my glass mat, it doesn't hit, the roller doesn't hit. It's got a little stand with these ends. If it's that way, it's on the thing and you can roll it. Okay? Now, so when you're using it, have your stands upwards. Now, we're going to use a lot of red ink. And wrong side. The side with stamping up is the side that you want to put your ink. So open it up and we'll put our ink. We're going to roll along. You'll be able to see all the words properly now. And I found I needed to do it both ways because you can see there's some bits that didn't get ink. And you can really see it with the red one. I've done it with the, I did it with the basic grey and you couldn't really see it as well as you can with the red. So I thought red is ideal for you to see what I'm actually doing. So you can see all the words are inked up. And if I turn it over the right way, you can see them really well. Now, I'm going to pop that back down. I'm going to pop this up that way. I'm actually going to put it on a sheet, but it isn't going to mark. We'll put this ink closed so it's out of the road. Your embossing folder, you place that with the die cutting blade up, facing up. And if you get it just right, sounds like something weird, it will actually click into place as it did there. Pop your cardstock on top. And yes, there's ink everywhere, but that's okay. Close your embossing folder. Now, we'll get this out of the road. I'm going to bring in, again, our cut and emboss machine. I'm only using the bottom plate, which is plate 1, and plate 4, which is our embossing plate. It's going on top. So, we'll put it that way. You can see, if I put it round this way for a minute, you can see that the cutting plate is around all the words. Has to go that way because that's the folded edge. We put our plate on top and roll it through. Now this is a bit thicker and so I will stand up to get it through. It is a bit tight. But it's worth it. Right. We're going to get that out of the road. I'm going to hold that shut and get these out of the road. Now, I recommend bringing your chamois in, or if you haven't got a chamois, wet ones, because there's ink everywhere. There's ink on me. It's worth it though. We'll lift this up and we'll clean that in a minute. And I'll just wipe some of the ink off it. You can see how quickly, it's a water-based ink, so wet ones or the chamois, run it under the tap, it's fine. So there's our words, thinking of you. They're stamped and embossed so that the letters are raised up. And and you've got a whole variety. And the one I want stayed in the paper. It's always the way. So that's the one I'm going to use. In the meantime, this bit can be thrown out, and let's clean up. And it's just a matter of wiping the chamois. Wipe it on my fingers as well, because as fast as I'm going to do it. And look, it cleans up easy. And the beauty about the glass plate is that if any of it, as you can see, I've got a little bit of red going on there. Now, I found the easiest thing was give it a wipe first, and then if you dab it, it gets it out of all the grooves. Little tiny ones, you might have to push it in a bit more because it is a bit thicker than normal. But it doesn't take long. And there we go. And there's some ink on the front there. And ink here. And it's all cleaned up. And there's your embossing folder. Oh, there's a little bit in there. But I'll fiddle with that after. But you can see how quickly it cleans up. And I can use the chamois. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Squirt water everywhere. Oh, I can use the chamois to wipe my hands. Oh, that got a little bit on my card. I'll just dab that. Oh, well, doesn't matter. A little bit smudged in that corner. It's still a bit wet there. I'll put my piece of paper back. Where did he go? Here. That's all right, because I'm going to use the chamois again on here. And look at this. It just cleans like so. Turn it around the other way. And it's clean. And I found, if I wasn't too sure, if I ran it, and it works better with the mat. There goes everything. You can see how clean it's come. And that's the way you know you've got it clean again. Now, let's get this finished. We're nearly there. We're going to glue this one inside with its little smudge and all. He won't notice. Well, he will. What I could do is, I'll let that dry. I'll show you a way to cover up mistakes. And I'm going to place this here, but I want us to get up with dimensionals. And so, 2 big ones. Could use the edge bits, or if you haven't got edge bits, a couple of little ones. And again, we'll just whip those off. And that's just going to go here. So it says, "You make me happy." Now, to cover up my little smudge there, a little idea. There should be still a little bit of colour on there. Should have done it perhaps before, but it's worked all right. Hasn't got onto the green. And so it's not as obvious that I'd smudged it then. How's that? There's always little tricks. And that's my card. And I'm left with all these other words that I can use on different cards. So it's a great little embossing folder, that hybrid embossing folder. You can get it with hearts, but I chose the one with words because I thought I'd get more use out of it. So I hope you like my card. When he gets it, he'll be able to open up his little personal letter, and his flag goes up and down. You can turn it all the way around down. Can go all the way around down. It will. but I've done it again a bit too tight. So we'll just leave it up there. We'll put the letter back in, and there's the inside. So I'm going to pop you back up to me. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. Hopefully you've enjoyed that card, and I'm on screen, yes. Sometimes I don't know if I'm going to be on screen or cut my head off. But I have cut it off a bit. But hopefully you've had a good day, you've enjoyed watching it, and it's inspired you. This is a fun set, and it'd be a great set for kids as well. If you were sending kids or something, you could put all sorts of things in that, in the letterbox or even in the letter. It's a lot of fun to play with, and hopefully you've got some inspiration out of that. I'm going to say goodbye now. As I said, there'll be classes coming up if you want to join in, and I'll show you how to use some of these and some more tricks of the trade. And I'll also have coffee and cards this week, so I'll be looking forward to seeing you at that. And keep an eye out on the new things online, at which I will show you some of them, and also the new things available in celebration. So if you spend $90, you can get a free celebration item. And so have a look, and I'll show you some more things you can buy. Have a good week. I'll be here next week to show you something different, and we'll see what that brings. Take care. Bye-bye.